In this video, I'm going to go over how to change a tire using this Ranger Power Assist tire machine. I've had this for probably 4 or 5 years, works great. A lot of the videos out there, they kind of just go through it and do it, and they don't really explain what's going through their mind as they're doing the process. So if you're new to this and you've never done it before and you're trying to learn, this video will probably be helpful. I'll go through what I'm thinking in my head, why I'm doing stuff a certain way. But let's just go over the machine real quick. It's got 4 pedals down here. This one on the right spins it this way. You can lift it up, it'll go the opposite way. This one right next to it, this is what operates the bead breaker. So you press down on this and it'll crush the tire in. You can see it's got this little metal bar here, and that's really convenient because normally you'll press this with your left foot. It makes it easy to find there with that bar. This one right here operates the grabbers. So you can unlock it and they'll slide out. And you can either grip the wheel from the inside using these teeth, or you can grip it from the outside of the rim using these rubber pads right here. So you can kind of control it. If you push in a little bit, you can control it, and then you can press it down to go out the other way. Takes a little bit to get used to. So it's in right now. And this one over here is the tilt back. Some machines don't have this lever, and all this does is it's got to knock this whole arm back right here. So I press that, it goes back. And I don't use that very often at all. I'm gonna press it again, it's gonna come forward. Down here on the side, this is the air pedal thing. So you press this and it'll start pumping air right out here. And if you get too much in it, there's a gauge here, you can press this to release air out of it. And then this is a bead blaster. If you have some really stretched tires and you can't get it to sit while just pumping air in it, you can use this to give it a burst of air. And then this has the power assist on it, and I wouldn't recommend getting a tire machine nowadays without this. A lot of tires are more low profile, and this is kind of a game changer. So it's got a little control here. You can move the whole thing up. You can move it down. This arm can follow a tire around. You can use this to kind of lift up on a tire. And then this, you could use it to push down on a tire or pull up on it. And then this is the duck boot. I think they call it a duck boot because if you look at it from a certain angle, it kind of looks like a duck. This is the beak, head. And this thing, you can adjust up and down, just moving it here. And when you put it where it needs to go on the tire, this little red button, if you push it, it locks it right in place. Now I can't move this up or down if I wanted to. This will unlock it. So that's everything the machine does. Let's get going and do a tire. So the first thing we want to do with wheels when we have them is we want to get the air out of them. So pull off the valve stem cover and then use one of these tools and you just pull out the valve stem. And I would go around and do this on all of the wheels just so the air is coming out of it. Then we're going to go ahead and remove the center cap. And then the other thing that I'll do, squealing. I do stick-on weight, so if they have an old-style wheel weight that hammers on, I'll remove those before I start with these guys. If there are stick-on wheel weights, I'll leave them for now. You'll notice this is pretty clean too. I always wash the rims before I put them on my machine. I try to keep it as clean as possible. So now the air is all out of this, and we can use the bead breaker. Let me make sure this is kind of positioned right. I'm gonna move it over here. All right, so we have to be careful about TPMS sensors. In this day and age, I would just assume that every wheel has a TPMS sensor, even if they don't. So you don't wanna bead break it on the valve stem. You either want it up here or down there. So I'm gonna put it right at the top. I'm going to pull this arm out, get the wheel right in there, and you want to get it close to the rim You don't want to touch the rim, obviously, and you don't want to be too far away, otherwise it's not going to pull the tire off. And I'm going to push this in. So there's one. Now I'm going to reset, flip it 180 degrees, valve stem's at the bottom, and I'm going to grate this side. That's done. Now you want to flip it. You got to break the bead on the back side. Also be cautious of the valve stem here. So that kind of pulled it off. I'm going to go around. Sometimes you have to do it 2 or 3 times. Okay, that definitely pulled it off. And I'm just going to hit it right here again. So the bead's completely off right now. Alright, so now I'm going to put the tire up here, and these are some Volvo wheels. I don't care about keeping the inside clean, so I'm going to use these teeth to actually grab it. I can see that's what's been done before on the rim. It's a little bit marred up. If these were some nice CCWs or something like that, and I didn't want to damage the inside of the rim, I would use the rubber things here. It's just a little harder to get those lined up. You kind of got to put your head under it, and it's a lot easier just to set the rim on like that in order to hit that pedal that moves the teeth out. So now it's locked in here. Nothing's going to happen with it. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to get this duck boot down in place. So I'm going to put it down here and lock it. And you can see I got the valve stem over here. I don't really want the valve stem right here where I'm going to pry this tire out, and I also don't want it back here. So the tire isn't going to really stretch. So if you put this on here and pried it, you're not going to pry the rubber this way. You need to get this side down into what they call the drop center in order to pry this out. You can't pry this out if this edge of the tire is right up here. And what do I mean by drop center? This is a rim I already took the tire off, and you can see kind of this low part of the wheel right here. That's where you want that edge of the tire. You want that down in here so that it can go that way as you pry this out. And that's the only way the tire's gotta come off the wheel. So we don't want the valve stem right here because there could be a TPMS sensor that this is kind of pushing against, and we don't want it here because we're going to be putting our pry bar down there and prying it out. So over here is a good spot for it, or over here is a good spot for it. And let me put this back on the tripod. So I've got this iron tool, and I'm just going to stick this in here, and I'm prying this. And I'm pushing this down on the side, and that's where this tool can also come in handy. If I put this in, see if you can see it, and I lower this down, it can help push that down for me and hold this side of the wheel down while I'm working up here. Now let me show you another thing. I'm prying this right now. I gotta be careful that I don't let go of this. It's gonna go flying. I gotta be careful I don't jam this down and hit the wheel. And I also gotta be careful when I start rotating this. And I'm prying this, and I'm trying to push it down on the edges, and I can see the tire isn't over this head of the duck right there. It's not. And if I were to start turning this, there's a pretty good chance it's gonna push this iron bar off this lip, and it's going to slam against the rim here, and that's something we don't want. So what I'll usually do is I'll first go in reverse just a little bit, and you can see that kind of help put the tire over that head. Now I can go the other way, and there's lesser of a chance that it's going to make this iron go out and slam against the face here. And if you're doing this for the first time, you're going to have that happen. And And if I'm doing a really expensive set of wheels and I want to be cautious that I don't damage this, sometimes I'll put a microfiber towel here. I've seen these bars that have like a piece of plastic over them. They make guards. I've seen guards that go over rims right here to protect that. And another thing that I've done in the past, you can kind of see it. There's some paracord right there. So if you tie a knot in some paracord, you can kind of wrap it around here to hold this bar from wanting to slip off. Or if you're strong, you can put your hand here and your other one here, and you can kind of force it that way. So let's see if this works. If it stays there, and put this back on the tripod. It's kind of hard to see. Let me get a little closer. Right there. So I'm going to push this way, and now I've got it over that lip, and you can see it starting to go off. It actually hit the tripod because I had it right in the way. So now that that's starting pretty good, I'm going to keep it going. And you can see this thing is just following the tire right around this whole arm, which is pretty slick. So you keep going, and now it's at a good point where it's off. So the first part's done. I'm going to lift this back up and move it out of the way. So now we got to get the rest of the tire off, and I can lift this up on the front here to make some room. We got to get this tire iron down in here so that it's under that bottom edge. And now I need to pull up the back of the tire and get that pried and ready to go. So I'm going to put this back on the tripod. So just like before, I've got that bottom edge pried up. This one does look like it's a little bit over the head, but I'm gonna go backwards a little just to make sure. And now I can run it forward, but there's still the same possibility that if something catches, it can slide this bar off and slam it into this rim. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this power assist and I'm gonna lower it down. And now I've got this cone thing on the back. I'm gonna slide that out so it's under the tire. You can see it down there. And now I'm gonna lift up on it to put a little bit of pressure. And now that I'm doing that, I almost don't even need this bar at all. And I'm just gonna rotate it. And there, it's right off. And now I can unlock this thing. And bam, get this out of the way. And this is where the kickback can come in handy. Like, I can slide this back and I can pull this tire out. There's plenty of room, but if you're dealing with a really wide rim and really wide tire, there may not be a lot of room to do that. And you can just use the kickback and it'll go right out of the way. So next up, I always replace the valve stems unless they're TPMS sensors. In which case I try not to touch them. But if it has normal valve stems, I replace them. So I just take a razor blade, cut off the bottom nub, and you can kind of pull the old one right out. And now we could be good to put the new wheel on like this. But the other thing that you're going to see is that this bead has kind of got some rubber residue, and it feels kind of flush. There are a few areas where it's a little rough. I like to go over that with a tool, and I've got that down here. And this is just an air tool with some plasticky thing. I'll take it off here and I'll just do a quick run through it, but I gotta hook an air line up to this to even use it, just to clean that surface. So now I have it back on the machine, and we're going to put a new valve stem in it. I've taken the thing out of the inside, Schrader valve, I guess, and I'm going to push this through the hole, and then this little tool just threads on. Easier said than done. And then you can kind of pry it up into place, then unscrew it. We keep the Schrader valve out of it until the end, but it's there. It's nice and seated. So now we can talk about the tire. Two of them need to have the direction one way, and then the other two need to have the direction the opposite way for the other side of the car. So the first two tires that you put on, it doesn't really matter what way they go as long as you have this side out right. In this case, it doesn't matter what this side out is. But the other two, you'll want to look at what ones you did first and make sure they're the opposite. So I'm going to keep these rotating right, clockwise. I'll do the first two clockwise and then the other two counterclockwise. So we need to lube them right on this bead area. And they do sell special lube, but all I use is some hot water and some Dawn dish detergent, and it gets it nice and slippery. And we're just going to take it and go right around. And you're going to want to do both sides. Put that back. And now we're going to try to get it on here in one shot. And usually you can kind of force it on the first time just with your hands. You don't even need to use anything special. So let's put it up here and just kind of bam, right on. So that's over. That's half the battle right there. Now we want to get this duck boot back in place. Get this a little closer. And here is also important. We want this head of the duck boot, we want it over here. We want this one on top of the tire riding up on like that. And this is where the helper arms really save the day. So I'm going to come over here and kind of get this one pushed down a little bit and get this kind of started. So you can see that's going down, it's under here, this is pushing down. It needs to push it more to get it underneath that drop center, so I'm going to go a little bit more, and let's keep going. Bam, on. So lift this up out of the way. I'm going to unlock the duck boot. Now I can fill it with air only because these clamps are pushing out on the inside. If I was clamping it on the outside of the rim, I'd want to undo that before I fill it with air. Otherwise, those rubber things are going to get pulled off and they're going to get stuck between the tire and the rim. Ask me how I know that. So I'm going to put this on. I'm going to hit that pedal down here. And it's pumping. And it sounds like air is just kind of escaping. It doesn't sound like it's building pressure. So sometimes if you pull up on the tire a little bit, you can get it to catch. There we go. This is the scary part. It's popping into place. And one more spot here. Bam. So now that that's inflated, I'm going to take this off. We got to put the Schrader valve back in now so it holds the air that we pump into it. When I have two hands, I can kind of, dropped it. When I have two hands, I can kind of push it in while the air is still kind of escaping. All right. So air is out. you get the idea. Just put that in. We're going to fill it back up with air. And then this tire is done and ready for balancing. And if this has been helpful, watch the next video. I'll show you how to use the balance machine.